You guys, the 2021 NBA season is officially over, the playoffs are upon us, and I personally could not be a happier man. And along with this, going into this playoffs, you guys, I have a feeling that this could be one of the craziest playoffs we have seen in the recent decades. Please take that with a grain of salt as I say it, as I am just very excited to see playoff basketball again, and I'm really hoping I don't get my hopes let down. However, there is one team going into this playoff that I have my eye on, as well as I feel many people around the league do as well, in the sense of needing to prove themselves, as they have not been able to do so over the course of the last couple of years. And if you have not caught on to who I am trying to hint at, yes, this is the Milwaukee Bucks. Because I'm sure we all know about the Bucks' last two playoff runs and how they ended up, so I'm not going to waste any of your guys' time trying to explain these. However, it is very obvious to almost any NBA fan that the Milwaukee Bucks have seemingly gone all in this year and for the foreseeable future. But you guys, even with these improvements the Milwaukee Bucks have made, there is really one major obstacle that is standing in their way that may reoccur this year, and this, my friends, is what we are going to be getting into in today's video. As always, you guys know I am more than excited to get into another one of our videos here, but before we do, I'm going to save you guys the time and effort and give you 5 seconds to go down below and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot emphasize it enough how much you will not regret hitting this button, as we are coming out with brand new NBA videos around here on a daily basis. So for any of you guys who love the NBA as much as I do and did this for me, believe me, I appreciate you more than anything in the world. But without further ado, let's get into this video. Now again, to briefly touch on the Milwaukee Bucks and their playoff history over the course of the last 2 years, I think it's pretty safe to say that when you are considering the Bucks' last two playoff runs and you ask pretty much any NBA fan what to think of them, that they will reply along the lines of them being either frauds or choke artists. And believe me, you guys, I myself am personally a Milwaukee Bucks fan, and these last two playoff runs have stung more than you can even imagine. But I sadly do have to agree with most of what the NBA fans are saying, considering the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks have been the 1 seed for the previous 2 seasons and have not lived up to the expectations set on them in any way, shape, or form, as they have not made the NBA Finals in the last 2 seasons, and in fact, they did not even make the conference finals last year in the bubble. But the interesting thing about this situation, you guys, is the idea that many NBA fans immediately run to blame either Giannis or Khris for the Bucks' recent failures in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, you guys, with the statement I'm about to make, as I do know and am well aware that Giannis and Khris definitely deserve some of the blame for these recent failures, but the major underlying factor that many people are starting to realize for some of the Bucks' recent droughts and unsuccessful playoff runs actually might be, believe it or not, their coach, Mike Budenholzer. Now, believe me, you guys, I am well aware that no matter what coach and what team we are talking about in the NBA, this is always going to be a touchy subject to discuss, but I really do feel like Mike Budenholzer has been put on more of a hot seat going into the 2021 playoffs than he ever has been in his entire career, and the determinant factor on whether or not the Milwaukee Bucks are going to make a deep playoff run in this postseason is going to be the deciding factor on if he probably keeps his job. And yes, if you were not aware, Mike Budenholzer was the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks over the course of the last 2 seasons when these playoff underperformances took place, and yes, even though players like Giannis and Khris are definitely to blame in a portion for these playoff exits, however, as time has seemingly gone on, and even after these exits in both 2019 and 2020, the flame under Mike Budenholzer's seat has been seemingly growing slowly day by day, and it only continues to get worse, especially going into this playoffs, as there has reportedly been, quote, a great deal of frustration accumulating within the Bucks front office over the course of this season and immediately after the playoff exit last season. That is most seemingly building around the idea that Mike Budenholzer has not been adjusting in these playoff series whatsoever. As we take the 2019 playoffs for an example in this situation, as the Milwaukee Bucks seemingly steamrolled through the first 80% of this playoff run, and even at one point were up 2-0 over the Toronto Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals, which was immediately followed up by 4 straight wins from the Toronto Raptors in what you could clearly notice was due to absolutely no change or altercation of plan by the Milwaukee Bucks in any way, shape, or form. And to top it all off, with most people and Bucks fans hoping that this was a one-year fluke, myself included, the Bucks then hop into the 2021 playoffs in the NBA bubble and eventually match up with the Miami Heat in the conference semifinals, only to go down 3-0 to start the series, in once again what was noticed as zero change whatsoever in the style of play by the Milwaukee Bucks. And also, I do know that people will probably be mentioning that Giannis was hurt in this series against the Miami Heat, and I understand this, but there was still a lack of change from Mike Budenholzer's style of play, and this was very obvious. finals. And now as we see the Milwaukee Bucks going into the 2021 NBA playoffs with what really does seem like an overall better team compared to what they had the previous 2 seasons, I think it is very safe to say that even though Mike Budenholzer does have another year on his coaching contract with the Bucks after this year, that his back could not be more against the wall in terms of needing a deep playoff run to keep his job in Milwaukee. I don't even want to go this far, honestly, but the more I look at this situation, I really do feel like unless the Milwaukee Bucks make the NBA Finals this year, that Mike Budenholzer will be jobless going into this 2021 offseason. And this is with the path set up in front of Mike Budenholzer that if they would want to get to the finals, they are going to have to get through the Miami Heat in the first round, followed by the Brooklyn Nets in the second round, and the Philadelphia 76ers in the conference finals. Let me just say that if Mike Budenholzer somehow leads this team to the NBA Finals this year, I think his job security is going to be more than assured going into this offseason, as this would not only be an impressive playoff run for the Milwaukee Bucks and Budenholzer, let alone one of the more impressive postseason runs you may ever see in NBA history, as in the first round we would see them take down a Miami Heat team in a revenge series that knocked them out and made their run to the finals last year, which would then be followed up with a matchup against the Brooklyn Nets in what may be one of the greatest offensive teams the game has ever seen, which to top it all off would come to a matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers in what has been one of the most dominant teams throughout the course of the season. So yeah, you guys, after going through this scenario one more time, I'm thinking if you see Mike Budenholzer do this with this Bucks team, you are going to be seeing a massive extension coming his way. But also on a serious note, you guys, this is a very underlying problem for the Milwaukee Bucks that I really do feel a lot of people around the league do not recognize, and it will definitely be one of, if not the biggest shakeup for the Milwaukee Bucks this offseason if they do not see the playoff success that they have been deeming for throughout the course of the last couple of years. But I am really curious to hear what you guys have to think about this situation, as I mentioned previously that the coaching aspect within the league is thought of differently from pretty much any person that you ask. But with that, I want to know, do you guys think that more of the blame for the Bucks' recent failures in the playoffs should be on Mike Budenholzer or Khris and or Giannis? Again, I know everyone's going to have a different opinion on this situation. I'm just really curious to hear what you guys have to say. I'm really pushing for my team this year, boys, but nonetheless, I think this playoffs is going to be, again, one of the craziest ones we have ever seen. With that, you guys, as always, I'm really hoping you did enjoy today's video. If you did, I'm just going to say again, you guys, don't forget to go down below, leave a like on the video, and subscribe as well while you're down there. I've said it before, and I will say it again, you guys, we're coming out with brand new NBA content around here on a daily basis, covering pretty much any NBA topic you can possibly think of. So once again, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything in the world. You all know this. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video.